What's up, sons? It's Blind Rod with Son of a Tech once again, and excuse the noise, that's how it's going to be in the farm, and I'll try to do better on the shaky cam. While I do have a solution for that, I don't have it ready right now, but I do want to start making sure that I try to do coverage of the mining farm and all the struggles involved, because there seems to be a misconception within mining of setting it and forgetting it. And if that's going to be your perception of mining getting into it, it's really going to make it hard to be successful. In fact, right now, just from even knowing everything I know, doing this for a long time, even having 3 gigahash in a 150 square foot room, I'm still running into issues with heat, especially as it warms up here in Texas. And we're going to kind of talk about that today. So if you like this type of content, I know it's a little bit different, but I wanted to start covering this type of thing. If this is the type of content you like, make sure you let me know in the comment section with the like buttons and the notification bells and all of that. Don't worry, all the rest of the content is staying there as well. It's very demanding keeping up with cryptocurrency, from news to just everything that's going on. But you guys should also see this backside of it and get an idea. So let's get into it. Today's sponsor is BT Miners. Purchasing mining equipment online can be dangerous. With all of the fake storefronts and scams, it can be hard to find a reliable source. That's why when BT Miners reached out for a channel sponsorship, I started by verifying that ordering and delivery went smoothly with a purchase of my own. If you are looking to purchase ASICs hardware from Bitcoin to Dogecoin miners, they are available for purchase on bt-miners.com. BT Miners is a trusted source by both ASICMinerValue.com and CryptoMiner.com. Follow the affiliate link in the description and use promo code FREESHIPPING2021 for free shipping on your order. Welcome everybody once again. What we're dealing with today is some severe overheating across the board in the mining farm. This is due to the fact that I don't have any ventilation. Right now I currently have the bay door open, which is bringing in some cool air and making things a little bit more manageable. My problem is that installing ventilation is quite expensive, and there is basically the potential of moving units to a new unit where I will have 3-phase and access to 208 volt and 800 amps of it, and that's where the ventilation investment will go into. So right now I'm just trying to limp along with what I have and what we have available to us, and it's really turning out to really be hurting the farm profitability, getting those margins even tighter. And of course, as you guys know, with the threat of the Ethereum merge and the profitability being low, and especially low on Crazy Pool right now, things are rough. So as you guys might not know, I've covered expenses before, but we are sitting around $1,400 US a day in power. And that's with the whole farm, including all the ASICs and the servers and everything that's running here. And then we're looking at around $1,600 US a month for rent. Yes, I am renting. Part of the reason for that is I haven't taken out loans, so renting is the closest to loans that I've done, but I don't really have the capital investment or really, honestly, the credit score to go ahead and purchase property at this time. So I do what I can with what I got, and then that's kind of what you have to do in these situations. Let's go ahead and talk about the overheating though and get going there. I will be getting a gimbal ready for you guys at some point, but for now, let's go ahead and just do it this old school handheld way. Right now, we are down 1 worker and 12 GPUs. I'm trying to get that resolved right now as we speak, and we'll talk about some of that. And here's kind of all the rigs. We're down from 5.3 gigahash a second to 4.6 gigahash a second on Ethereum. We're holding steady on the Flux side with 363 solutions a second. And then on heavy hash for CAS, which is what I'm spec mining right now, we're at 1 gigahash a second, and that seems to be doing fine. So let's talk about rigs that are good and rigs that are not good, right? Because that's going to be something that maybe would help you guys out. Over here, what we have are server cases. These server cases are running fantastic because they have additional cooling. They're all server grade fans. They spin at very high RPMs and have a very high CFM. That will increase, of course, your power cost per rig. But in cases like this, it's kept all of these going for so long that they have more dust than anything I've ever seen on them. So they do need to be cleaned out. We have one or a couple cards over here in this rig on the right that have dead fans, but they even still seem to be hashing at their full speed thanks to the server fans. We actually have one server fan dead in that rig as well, so we have some maintenance to do. Not too worried about them right now though, because they are hashing at full speed, so we're going to kind of leave them alone. The Octo Miner, same case. Takes more power, but all the cards in there are good. There's 12 5700 XTs. The open air frames are really where we start having issues because there's no additional airflow going through them and it's getting really hot in here. That being said, these 1660 cards don't have an issue. 1660 Supers, no issues either. We start running into issues with some of the 3080s. We start running into issues with the 3070s. This rig in particular seems to be doing okay or faring well. This one over here is all light hash rate GPUs, and this 3060 is overheating due to a failing fan on the back. We throttled it with power limiter and it limps along and is still mining flux just fine. Our 12 or 13 3070 GPU down here, not so much. We have one GPU on the core that's overheating and we got to get replaced because it's causing rig reboots essentially at this point. The rest of the GPUs are okay. We're going to try to add some additional airflow to it and see if it gets it resolved. 3090s, they're always an issue regardless of temperature outside because they have terrible cooling on the back plates. We've replaced all the pads on these and try to limp them along as much as we can. We'll be covering this rig in detail. However, suffice to say, we should be getting with the 9 GPUs basically a gigahash a second on this entire rig. Unfortunately, it ends up running between 700 to 900 megahash a second depending on how hot it is. And we even spread them all out here, as you can see, on the rack. And with these little GPU hangers here that we got off Pinterest, I'll leave links down below for you guys. They're 3D printed. Down there we have a 5600 XT rig. That one's running fine. And then that's the Kaz mining rig. That one's mining fine too, and we have a review for that case coming out. If we move over here, the servers are fine as far as like the Google search appliance. This rig's not fine. This is kind of like my testing play around rig. It does have a CPU in there actually currently running, but these 580s are kind of bunked at this time. They need to be pushed back to an older driver. I'm not sure if I want to do it. We'll talk about that kind of in a different setup, but other than that, we have the 6000 rig. 2 of the cards down there are overheating, so we're going to be throwing an additional fan on that. This is the very first rig I built, and it's having an overheating problem as well. This one we've talked about before. It's always been having overheating issues. However, we do have it hashing sort of okay with the 8 GPUs on there. Lots of dead fans on this one. This is kind of the one where all my dead 5700 start going as I start trying to replace the parts and so on. Up here we have a RX 6000 series plus this 5600 XT, which is actually not even running right now, so I think we need to do a reboot and try to get that going. But it died today and I don't really know why, so we have some troubleshooting to go over there. Then we have our Threadripper, and then of course we have our 5800X. They're doing fine, no big issues as far as that goes. All the ASICs are not really struggling in this heat yet, but to solve it, let me show you guys what we got out here. All right, so we're gonna be getting these 2 box fans out and putting them on those rigs, like I said, see if we can get the hash rate on those solved, at least for now. And then from there, we'll kind of move on and give you guys an update. Woo! Alrighty, boys, so we've been out at the farm here for a while now. We repasted 2 5700s and threw them in this rig back here and took those 580s out to grab an extra 110 megahash a second on the farm. And then at this point we have everything except for RX 580s up and the fans are working. However, we've had the bay door open this whole time, which has significantly cooled down the interior of this building. So the real test is going to come when I shut this thing, go home, and wake up tomorrow and see what starts happening around noon once we start hitting these high temperatures again. Let's go ahead and go over it though. These both came from Harbor Freight. We have this one blowing on the RX 3070 rig, and hopefully that'll keep that nice and cool. And then for the RX 6000 rig, we put another one here. Both these fans ran me $150 a piece, but they do have high CFM, and I'll surely use them for a long time. Unfortunately, that is the last bit of ETH I had left over from this month's revenue, basically after costs and stuff. Hopefully we'll build up enough though to cover the rest here later, but we did go ahead and repaste these like I said. This one, I can't find fans for, it's in XFX, so we just threw a 120 on there and it's plugged into the power supply in the back. And then the ASRock just needed some new thermal paste on the core and it was good to go. Basically the thermal paste dried up, so it was overheating on the core. So I now have all my 5700s up, even though some of these are starting to get worse for the wear over here. We will need to repaste them and work on those, probably start tearing them apart soon. Over here, if we take a look, try to get past that light in the background. Maybe we just need to pull this down a little bit. There we go. We are at 5.372 gigahash a second. And then we are at the 388 solutions a second on Flux, and still at that 1 gigahash a second on Caspa. So there you go. Let's chat. Let's see if we can actually chat in here. All right, so a little bit of like talking through everything that's going on right now. We will have a video covering the merge and where we think it's coming, or when we think it's coming. I know Bitsby Trippin covered the latest dev call on that. There's a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. I'm gonna try to put everything together and sum it up for you guys. But where I'm sitting right now, from my perspective, everything's already getting rough. We have really tight margins at the farm. It's kind of like an expand or die thing. Moving into ASICs has not been friendly. The first $8,000 investment that I had, essentially moving into ASICs, is now dead and not going to get shipped for at least a week from China because they've shut down over there. So that's kind of disappointing. The revenue is down. Now we have been on a pretty small pool over at Crazy Pool, and it's just not finding a lot of blocks, which is really hurting. I'll probably have to move to 2 miners just to make sure that I'm getting some sort of steady income rate from there. And then, you know, we do have our supplemental rigs, ASICs, just kind of running on Dogecoin, kind of stacking some library token for Odyssey, and kind of going around that whole path. But I like to be like as transparent with you guys as possible and so on. I'm not even sure that I can make it. At this point, I definitely have some doubts. It is what it is. If we have to go figure something else out, we'll definitely go do that. But I'm good right now as far as like, I made sure that we would be good for a while so I could really give it a go. And I knew that this was going to happen, so we're kind of prepared through this. My goal is to try to figure out how to make it through this and share that with you guys. Some of the ideas that are going around right now, of course, is working on getting distribution out to you guys, which I've gone through all the paperwork to start getting that going, and as well as hosting to help you guys get lower power costs, because I know at this point, if we do have the merge take place, profitability cuts in up to 50%, depending, or even worse, really, possibly after the merge on Ethereum for GPU mining. You'll definitely need a place that has low power consumption or low power cost. So I'm trying to figure out how I can help provide that to the community. There's a lot of ideas surrounding that. And then obviously supplemental how-to guides on pretty much anything that I'm working on. Obviously I've been doing a lot more virtualization stuff. So if you guys are interested in virtualization guides, that sort of thing, I can definitely help out there and get that going. We also have Soak Coin that I'm working on right now as well. Now, from my perspective, that's a labor of love. There really is no profitability in building it or in the manner that we're releasing it, because there will be no pre-mine. I will have zero advantage over anybody else that chooses to mine it. And there's not really any money making as far as that goes, nor would I want it to be, because that's not what I want that to be. But I do want to let you guys know that I am getting nervous, and I think a lot of you guys are as well. So don't worry, I'm in this with you guys as well. It's not like everything's running hunky-dory and we're golden. We're struggling keeping rigs running. It's getting hot. Profitability is already hurting. It's a tough time out there. So keep your heads up. We got this. We'll keep going. Stick to what you know and keep continuing on, keep plugging away. I'm hoping that GPUs here will be at least coming down, at least with the threat of the merge and all that sort of stuff, so that I can get enough to compensate. At this point, I really do have to get to the point of doubling the farm size. I really have to focus on NVIDIA GPUs to make sure that I have more options across the board for what I can mine, and just in case, because I think at this point, like we've talked about before, the AMD cards, which I am heavily invested in, are going to take the biggest hit when ETH goes away. So that's kind of what I'm working on. Let me know what you guys think about this whole vlog style and everything along those lines, and we'll catch you guys next Tuesday. That didn't spell it right, did it? No, it still did. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the subscribe button for more, or check out this playlist for more crypto content related topics.